Hey, it's Randy here in the garage. What I've got in the work stand today is this Trek Mountaintrack 850. I got this frame for free at this year's swap meet. I'm going to try and build it up with just parts that I have on hand. So let's get started. So I got this seat post that fits it that I also got for free at the swap, although it's an older style seat post. I don't know the terminology, how you differentiate between this and the newer style seat posts. So the next step is a fork, and I think I've only got one that will work. So let's see, this is a 1 1/8 steer tube. Is that right? And I believe this is the only fork I have that will fit. And this come off that Park Pre drop bar mountain bike that I built up a while back. I wasn't real keen on that bike, so Nova took it for a while and rode it. She liked it, but not better than what she already has, and she didn't want an additional bike, so I tore it down. I think that fork's going to work out just fine, except for the color. I'm going to want to paint it. I'm not sure what color though. So I went ahead and took the rack and the brakes basket off the fork. The only paints I have that would somewhat match are this gray and this metallic silver. But I think that silver's, it needs some blue in it. I think I'm just gonna go see if I can find some paint that maybe more closely matches this. Worst case, I might use this. Maybe it's far enough away from back here that you'll notice that it's missing the kind of blue tint. I'm kind of at a standstill on the front end until I figure out what I'm going to do as far as painting the fork. So I think I'll move to the bottom bracket and see if I have one that fits. This is 68 by 116. Cross my fingers that that's going to work. So I'm just going to make this a 1x. These are my 2 crank options. And I'm probably running a 7 on the rear. This one is a narrow wide, which is would be beneficial. But I like I'm not really fond of the green. Guess I could paint that. I think we'll go with this. Give this a kind of a quick clean. It's kind of out of the norm for me. Well, these were my two derailleur options. This Suntour Lapre, which I like because it's kind of unique and has 3 pulleys. And this Shimano STX. I think I'm just going to go ahead and go with the Shimano though, because I know friction shifting is all the rage right now, but I really like click shifting, index shifting, whatever it is. And I know I can easily come up with a shifter for this, where I don't know about this Suntour. Well, I keep expecting to run into a problem with this bike. Since it was just basically going to scrap, it makes me think, was there something wrong with it that's not obvious? I don't know, maybe it'll be the threads here, we'll see. I just noticed, I don't think this black's gonna go, or is it? There's some black in the lettering, but I think I'm gonna switch it out to this silver aluminum, even though it is in pretty rough shape. I think I'm gonna stop right here for now and just wait till I get that fork painted before I continue. I probably should build it up as it is and make sure it rides okay and fits me, but I don't want to have to put the fork on and off multiple times. So we'll just see when we see you. Well, I went and bought some paint for that fork. Found something that I thought might be a close match, but it turns out it's pretty far off. I think I'm gonna see if I can't kind of work with this and some black and try and make it a closer match to this. Like I said earlier, this fork I took off that Park Pre build, but this wasn't the original fork for that bike. I don't know where this fork came from. But it's interesting, it looked like a factory purple paint, but I'm finding blue underneath it, so I don't know what that means. Well, I gave it a base coat of this chalkboard paint. So hoping that'll darken up, make this paint a little darker. So I'm trying to just give it a light dusting of this over top of the black, so hopefully it looks darker than it actually is. As for wheels and tires, I got the wheel set and tires that I took off that Park Pre build. And it looks like it's 8-speed. And I have these, which I bought when they first come out. They're Gravel King SKs, the limited edition. I believe these are honey mustard or honey butter color or something. 26 by 2.1, which I bought when they first come out, and I've just been waiting for something to use them on. Get one of these mounted to a wheel and see how it looks. A little better look at what these each look like. I'm just not sure. I mean, these really stand out. But do they stand out too much? I'm just going to leave them as is for now and think about it and move on to the stem and handlebars. That stem is crooked. I guess that's why it was free. I'm really liking these, and I've got this stem that's the same stem except for this is a little bit bigger diameter. It's still not quite right, but I wouldn't have to shim it as much. So I think I'm going to swap these bars over to this stem and see what that looks like. I don't really like the black. I think it either needs to be silver or maybe I'll try and match the fork. Well, I gave this a light coat of that blue to try and match the fork. I'm going to go ahead and go with the pan racers, so let me get the other one put on the back wheel. I think it's time to get a chain on here. I don't know whether to go with black or chrome. I think that chrome is just a little too much. Go with black. Oh. Struggling here. Jeez. And for the saddle, I'm just going with my favorite saddle, which is this Cell Royale Lada. It's a cheap saddle, but it's a comfortable saddle. These V-brakes were on that fork, so we'll just go ahead and use those. And I'll have to look and see if I can't find another pair of V-brakes for the back. I believe these are the only pedals I have in 9/16. Probably need black pedals, but I'm not keen on these. They're just not very grippy. These studs, it's just not much to them. I think these were black and I painted them purple. Maybe I could paint these black again. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint these black. And while I wait for the pedals to dry, I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cabled up. So I think I'll just reuse these brake levers and grips that were on here. I'm gonna go ahead and use friction shifting for now because I don't have a shifter for this 8-speed. And I'll probably have to change it to a different friction shifter than this one. This one is indexed for 5-speed. Let's see. Well, anyway, I'll go ahead and get all this cabled up and I'll check in afterwards. I forgot I could just take the V-brakes off the back of the Park Pre where I got all the other parts off of. Almost there. I still need to wire up the shifter and I don't have a brake cable long enough to reach the rear, so I gotta come up with one of those. So I'll be back to do that. Well, the paint appears to match pretty good in here, but I'm sure once I take it out in the sunlight, it's going to be another story. So I wasn't real keen on the stem and the shim that I used. The shim just went partially around, didn't really, fill the whole gap. I did find this this steer tube that is the right outside diameter to fit in the steer tube of the fork, and then the inside diameter of this is just right for that stem. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit and clean it up, and we'll see how that works. So here's the stem with that shim put on there, and I gave some paint. And that wedge is a little bigger than what's original to this stem. I don't know if that's going to help any. Now this upper portion, the diameter is a little bit bigger than what has the threads cut in it. So it rests right there, which is nice because I wanted a little bit of rise on this stem anyway. So these pedals are just okay, but I'd really like to have something aluminum, and especially maybe these bear trap pedals, but I didn't have any in 9/16. But while looking around for another part, I found I had these pedal adapters, and it adapts a 1/2 inch pedal shaft to 9/16. But I don't know, that looks sticking out there so far, I just don't know about that. What I think I'm going to do is steal a pair of bear trap pedals off another bike that are 9/16, put them on here, and then move these over to that bike. Here's those pedals. I forgot to mention, it's another day. I did get everything all cabled up. I got a brake cable long enough to reach the rear. I am going to replace this with a rapid fire type 8-speed shifter. Now whether I'm going to ride it as is or wait till I get that shifter, I'm not sure. Well, I think that's it for the build, and it's ready to ride, but I think that'll be another video. So we'll just end this one here. As always, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video.